So in this short video, we're going to be looking at some simple strategies to help support new mums with bladder function and confidence in those early days postpartum. Before we kick off, do make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you're kept up to date with new videos like this one when they're released. My name's Sarahjane West-Watson and I'm the founder of Fit Fanny Adams, the women's health and fitness business where we really look at supporting and restoring your core and your pelvic floor. But it's really important to make sure that you know to reach out and to signpost appropriately so that mum gets the support from her midwife, the health visitors and the GP who can then refer on for specialist help and support if it's appropriate. So let's kick off. Bladder control and bladder confidence and bladder comfort of when we're going to the toilet are real issues for mums in those early days postpartum. And it's really important that we look at expectations. Loss of awareness and control in the pelvic floor muscles, particularly if there has been trauma, is absolutely normal in the early days and is really where that focus needs to be on restoring that connection with the pelvic floor. It's also worth remembering if a C-section has happened and after mum has been catheterized and a catheter is moved, there's often a lot of oversensitivity within that bladder, which is normal and something that really needs to be supported. So managing expectations, number one. Let's then look at fluids. Fluids are something that are really important for new mums. Making sure those fluids are coming in even if there is a loss of control and a loss of awareness from the bladder in those early days. We need to stay really well hydrated to support breastfeeding as well as general healing in those early days. So it's really important to make sure you don't reduce your water intake even if you're feeling like you've lost control of the bladder to some degree. Let's look at patterns. It's quite helpful if this is quite a significant problem to almost do a little mini bladder diary, fluids in and when you're having your issues. That's a really good way to understand if mum is just not taking enough time out to go to the toilet. It sounds so simple, but with so much going on and looking after a little bundle of joy, often these are distractions where mum just simply forgets that she needs to go and then it's too late and the bladder's too full in those early days postpartum to really have the control that she might have been used to previously. And then let's look at how we're actually toileting. Okay, so it's really important that we really don't push out the urine. I'm going to say that again because it's something that some people struggle with. We want to soften, we want to relax, we want to open when we're going to the toilet. So bearing down and pushing is something we really want to avoid, especially when there has been birth trauma. So encouraging mums to be relaxed, to get comfortable and not to fear the experience of going to the toilet. If there has been trauma and tearing, then it can often be quite helpful and comfortable to apply some water to the perineal area whilst having a wee. The reason for that is it reduces the concentration of the urine and makes it a lot more comfortable. So making sure that you've got a nice clean sterile jug and some clean water just to help to neutralise that area. It's also really important that we make sure that we are fully voiding our bladder. So what do I mean by this? I mean that making sure that if after you've had a wee, that everything has been emptied from the bladder. So if there's complaints of I've got to go again when I've just had a wee, or I still feel like there's stuff in my bladder after you've voided, then it's really important that you make a note of that with your health visitor or your midwife when you're next speaking to them. But there are a few strategies to help with this and they can be more obvious and simple than you think. So first of all, one of the key things is whilst mum is still sitting on the toilet, just have her do a gentle rock of her pelvis. So literally sticking the tailbone out, tucking the tailbone under and curving the lower back, almost as if she's doing the cat-cow stretch, but just sitting down. What that does is that just really helps to empty the bladder fully and just to help if there's any remains of urine in that bladder, that by just tipping forwards and back is really helping to empty it. The other thing that can happen is to take that into standing. So often what happens is as mum stands up, then there can be leakage during the process of standing, or it's when she's then standing and moving around that she's feeling that she's still got some retained fluids. So have mum to stand up, again do a little tilt of the pelvis when she's standing up, or indeed a full little rotation, a little hula hula, one way and then the other, have a little tilt again, and then get her to sit back down, soften and open. And that can be a really handy way of helping to fully void the bladder. It's obviously really important to make sure that bladder is emptying because of the risk of UTIs that can happen if you're not fully emptying. And finally, let's look at the simple techniques of pelvic floor engagement, how to actually get those muscles working. And so often in the early days postpartum, mums really struggle to find that connection with their pelvic floor, feeling that things just feel very alien and very disconnected. So getting mums just to really focus on the sphincters, the closing of the vagina, the closing of the anus, and the lift into those orifices, as well as the support into the pelvic floor. So really getting mums to understand that they've got the vaginal muscles that they want to be working on a close, the anus, again this wants to be working on a close, and the concept of lifting into that vaginal vault, as well as into the back passage. We get a close around the anus, and that then lift into the rectum. Finally, it's really important that the mums understand the need to engage what I kind of call the sling muscle of the pelvic floor. So this red muscle down here. And we can see that it stems all the way from the tailbone at the back, all the way underneath the perineum to the pubic bone at the front. And if there's been trauma around the perineum or tearing up to, into, or around the anus, it's really important that this connection with these muscles is focused upon. So engaging the sling muscle, really feel that lift under the pelvic organs, as if we're lifting the pelvic floor away from the gusset, is really important. And that's the muscle that mums want to be working and engaging when they're doing those moves that often cause leakage. So lifting, twisting, straining. And finally, just don't forget that caffeine, alcohol, sugar, sweeteners, citrus fruits and a lot of dairy can also be aggravators to the pelvic floor, and they can make that control and that awareness of the pelvic floor a little bit more distant. So I hope you've enjoyed this short video on learning how to support new mums with their bladder function and confidence. Because we at Babyem are passionate about empowering new parents. We provide you the support to help them. So if you've enjoyed this video, do please make sure that you like and share, and make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you're kept up to date and notified when we release any more videos like this one.